going to talk today about the psoas muscle. If you've looked on YouTube or a lot of information on the web, you keep hearing about how tight the psoas gets, that it creates low back pain, it creates anterior hip pain. And yes, the psoas is a culprit in low back pain, but not because it's tight, mostly because it's weak. So today we're going to talk about what it actually does, how to reactivate a psoas after an injury, and why it's important. The psoas muscle attaches to the lumbar spine, where my fingers are here, along the transverse processes, and then down into the hip. By virtue of its position, it creates a lot of stability in the low back, the sacroiliac joint, and the hip joint when activated. More recent functional MRI and EMG studies have shown that the psoas muscle, when there is a back injury, goes quiet. So it deactivates the psoas muscle. And you can see by virtue of its position that primarily it's an axial compression device. So the muscle, when it contracts, creates stiffness in the lumbar spine and more stability across the sacroiliac joint and the hip joint. Now we're going to teach you how to reactivate or retrain your psoas muscle so that it works when you need it to stabilize your lumbar spine, your SI joint, and your hip. I'm going to distract Amanda's leg just 1 centimeter, and then I'm going to ask her to pull her hip into the socket. Now you can see Amanda's overactivating all these muscles and tightening up everything. So let's try again. That's the typical way people do this. They overactivate the hip hikers and the quad and the glutes. So now just a little contraction, pull that hip up about 1/2 centimeter into the socket and hold it there. Relax the quad, everything else, and what you should feel is a contraction deep in the spine, near the spine and in the front of the hip. And a hold for 10 seconds is good, and then relax. Good to practice this in several positions, so we'll try it on the other leg with Amanda on her side. And in this position, the default when people are overactivating extra muscles is to pull the hip back, okay, to rotate the pelvis. So now instead what we're going to do is I'm going to put my hand right on Amanda's kneecap and ask her to pull that kneecap away from my hand, and just that little bit of activation, she co-contracts her abdominal muscles and the lumbar spine muscles, but she's not moving the pelvis or rolling the spine back. And then relax, and the knee falls forward again. One more time, contract, pull away from my hand, and hold that for 10 seconds. You should practice retraining the psoas in several positions on your back, on either side, for left and right psoas activation, and relax, Amanda, and also on your stomach. Once you have a good understanding of how to activate the psoas, you can start doing the same things in seated position.